Hello, guys. I'm here with Christy from SoCal Tropics. I think quite a lot of people know that earlier in June of this year, your husband Jack passed away,
Yes,
and you invited me over here to kind of talk about what happened.
yes.
So, do you want to share what happened to Jack?
Well, I just wanted to share with the community that Jack did have some mental health issues, and they led to deep depression, and he wasn't doing good at the end, and he decided to take his life. Um, and he's gone now, and he's very well missed by the plant community. I just kind of put awareness out there that if you know a coworker or family member that's showing signs of depression or is taking on too much, like Jack took on the social scene, the political scene, the financial scene, like onto himself, his own burden. And that brought him down into a deeper depression. He was starting to show the signs of, closing in. And I would bring it to his attention, but he, of course, would get angry and say nothing was wrong. It was the world is the problem and not me. If you see signs of that where somebody's just saying they either, of course, want to end their life, or they're showing signs of depression and kind of pushing you as a friend or a family member away, that's a big sign to look for. And if possible, definitely reach out to them, because once you do what Jack did, you're gone forever.
Right.
I mean, you can't change your mind and come back.
Right.
I wish that could be, but it's not. I just think if we can save one person in memory of Jack from doing that, I mean, that's one person in this world that could still live a full life, and that's just the most important part. And I know that for the plant community, a lot of people got into collecting plants during COVID. Yeah. We were all closed in and away from people, so a lot of us kind of got that little depression, and we started collecting plants to make ourselves happy, which is awesome. I think that's good. There's therapies, and one of them is the plants. I mean, it's a living thing, and you can care for it, and it gives you a beautiful return in your time. And COVID was a big trigger for a lot of people to get to where it pushed Jack kind of over the edge as well, being kind of, we were all shut in. And I'm glad things are opening up, but I know that there's still a lot of people that are kind of affected by COVID, and I'm hoping that they reach out for help. That's the most important, courageous word you can say in your whole life is help. Help me.
COVID, or what was the world was like during COVID, did it make things worse for Jack?
Yes, very much so. That was very difficult. He's the type of person that needed to get out and about. We call him Mr. Antsy Pants because he just couldn't relax and settle down. So he just wanted to get out, and then when everything started closing down one by one, I could see him going down with that closure, and to where he was just driving around the roads that nobody was driving even on, but he would come back and just depressed because he couldn't have that outlet with his energy that he always had.
I think one of the most shocking things was that it didn't seem like he was dealing with these mental health issues.
No. He hid that a lot from people. I mean, like I said, that's why he pushed people away. But with one of his outlets during COVID was being on the plant groups and all over the internet, and it gave him a tiny bit of relief, because plants were his life. Yeah. I mean, that's what he's done since a little kid. Again, that was him having that outlet of that moment of peace, but at the same time, he never was letting anybody know and saying that important word, help me. But yes, he was very well known in the plant community, and what you saw with Jack is what you got. Yeah. He didn't candy coat anything, and he had a good following, to where after I announced it on Instagram of his passing, I had private messages come in. It was kind of very kind of everybody. They didn't like put on the comments. They went straight to, direct message on Instagram, and they would share how they got into it, into plant collecting, and how Jack was kind of holding their hand through the whole process, and that they were very grateful for his knowledge, and that was very touching to hear that from the plant community. And the other thing that I love the plant community, especially the local plant community, is on his log, he always kept a journal. And one of them, the weekend that we had to take him off life support, it had water plants. And so I came home from the hospital. I looked around, I said, oh my gosh. I said, Jack took 4 hours just watering our indoor plants alone by himself and straight. He never took a break. He was that passionate. That was just the indoor plants. And I just looked around and I said, oh, all the years that Jack has sacrificed his time taking care of all of them, I was going, everybody's just going to suffer. I can't do this, take care of our son and take care of the situation with Jack's passing. So I reached out to the plant community and the local plant community, and I could not be more happy with the gracious support of everybody that came. I had, for 3 days, within 3 days, I sold out of what I needed to, make our collection smaller and more manageable for me by myself. And just, everybody was just so kind.
What do you have to say for anyone who is struggling with their mental health and, have reservations, because with Jack, he, like you said, he tried a few things that may or may not worked or may or not have worked, and he had his own reservations about sharing, about seeking health or help. What advice do you have?
If it's yourself thinking that and you feel that depression for whatever reason coming on, is you've got to really sit there and say, I've got to keep trying. It's like a lot of times like somebody said, like you fall, you're down as low as you can go for whatever reason, divorce, loss of a family member, just a job loss or whatever can compound you getting that depression. But whatever it is, I would say never give up. Keep trying things, because not everybody fits into that one particular box. We're all different. But I think it's just the outcome is to keep trying. And when you're down and you fall and you're depressed, eventually you've got to get up, dust yourself off, and keep marching on. That's our life. It's so important. We've got so much to experience. The part of things that are depression, if you can get that taken care of, and then if it's other mental health issues that are around the depression and get that taken care of, there's just so much in this life that we experience, and there's just so much beauty in life. And to just close into the bad and the dark, I just think the light and the love out in the world is what we really need to, flow down the river, and enjoy.
What do you have to say for people who have a loved one who is suffering? How do they support more or help more? Is there anything you can think about in given your situation?
I would say the biggest thing is never argue over somebody who has a mental health issue or depression to where they're thinking of suicide. That's the biggest thing. That's one thing I was very supportive of Jack. I never argued back. That just compounds the situation. I think a lot of it has to be calmly discussed. I tried my best. Everybody's going to be different. For Jack in particular, even though I'm giving this advice, one thing is just to remain calm, show love to the person. Whether you're just sending that to them or saying it in words, and letting them know you're always going to be there no matter what. And even if it ends up like Jack, where they do, you'll never have guilt because you've never argued about it. You were showing compassion and love and calmness. I mean, calmness is the biggest thing. When you think because they're depressed that calmness, you kind of want to get them bubbly and everything. But just that calmness and that peace that you can surround them as much with, I think helps them be able to get up and dust themselves off. You know, I can't guarantee, like with anything, that it wouldn't end how it did with Jack. But I think it's very important that if they do end up taking their life, that they always know that they were loved.
Yeah. I think even for people who don't have a close one that's dealing with depression, or they're not dealing with depression themselves, I think a takeaway that everyone can take away is that, like, everyone's lives, everyone has their own problems, and everyone is dealing with their own struggles.
Right.
And even the perkiest, happiest, richest person you see on Instagram or social media, they're dealing with stuff too. And I think that,
Yes.
you know, as social media is blooming, and also the you know, potential for hatred or animosity or drama, I think it's a takeaway is that we should all be a little bit kinder to ourselves, because we really don't know what other people are going through.
Yeah.
Until sometimes, like, it's too late or they crack or something, you know.
I think definitely, especially on social media, we should all be more kind and maybe not bring in political things into it that have happened and such, and just leave it about plants, because it's Mother Nature. I mean, it's the beauty of it all. Obviously, we all have that love for what we're collecting and stuff, and I would just like to see more of a positive vibration amongst the plant community, because we are so large.
How do you want the community to remember Jack? You know, he definitely has friends, and he definitely has his enemies. How do you want the community to remember him?
I think for him, he was a very great source of information. I mean, and that was blood, sweat, and tears information that he has endured for, let's see, he was 49. So I would say, since it's probably when he was 9, so for 40 years of his life.
Jack is only 49?
He was only 49. He was going to be 50 July 15th.
Oh my gosh, I thought he was... Is it mean to say that I thought he was older?
No. No.
Wow.
Yes,
Oh
he was
my
young.
gosh.
He wasn't
That's
even 50.
so young.
It's in a couple days would have turned 50 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a shame.
A long time. But I think for Jack, it's kind of, if you look at it now that you know what you see with Jack is what you got. He didn't BS anybody or anything like that. He was just him.
Yeah.
And I think his knowledge, I'm hoping, will, from one mouth to the other as the years go on, his recommendations, or, you know, they're always recommendations, but I love that his knowledge would be, you know, his lineage would continue through the years. It's going to be nice. That's how I want him remembered, is that he was a straight shooter, and that his information was from personal experience, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell that I'd love people to remember him by.
I have fond memories of Jack, and you guys, you know, you were definitely one of the first plant tours I did when my channel was itsy bitsy. I mean, it's still pretty small. And you were gracious enough to just let a strange guy, you know, come into your home. And I know that, you know, you and Jack have done a lot of help towards the plant community. You guys have been in this hobby for a long time, before COVID, before, you know, Instagram just went like crazy. And before, you know, there were tons of good advice out there. I remember coming to you guys and just like learning all this stuff about aroids and growing them indoors and these plants. And you were, you know, a very reliable source of information, of good information, during a time when there wasn't that much around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I hope that people will remember Jack for his passion and for his, openness to spread knowledge.
Yes.
You know?
Jack and I, that was what brought us how we met. That's how we met. He was working at a nursery and I was a customer. Tall, blonde, blue eye. I was like, woo! So that's how we met, is through the plants. And it flourished from there. And we did our first house plant together because we were both into mostly outdoor plants, landscapes, but rare. We still were doing the oddities even then. And but when we got together and we moved into our first home, we started off with our first aeroid and we killed them because we didn't know about aeration. We put it in straight Miracle Grow and overwatered them and they all died. But over the years, we just got more and more and more. Hey, this one's surviving. Start getting more, and that's kind of how it snowballed for us.
Right. All right. Anything else you want to say to viewers that we haven't discussed?
I just wanted to thank the community for the outpour of support. It meant a lot to myself and my son. Oh, I thank you so much for coming to purchase the plants, and I know that they're all going to beautiful homes or are already in beautiful homes. And I love all of you because we all have that in common. Plants are beautiful.